Hey, everybody, welcome into Live with Greg tonight. I am so thrilled to be talking to Earlene McConnell, and she is here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, mediumship, psychic. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. So many people want to know, what does she see? When did she get this gift and all that kind of good stuff? We're going to talk about that. And I also did a mediumship, the first time I've ever done a mediumship with my cousin and Earlene earlier this week. So we're going to share some of the clips tonight. So, Earlene, first off, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm so happy to be talking to you tonight. So, you have certain gifts that you have been blessed with. So, before we even talk about that, when did you know that something was different, that you had something in you that you could not even explain at the time?
Well, Greg, as I tell a lot of people, I think the first person that I actually realized there were lots of people that I saw as a child, but one person in particular that stuck out was my uncle, my dad's brother, that was murdered when I was a child. And he was murdered when I was an infant, but I was very fond of him as an infant, and he continued to come and spend time with me as a child. And
Wow.
he would come and feed me bottles at night before he got murdered. And he continued to come and play with me and talk with me. And I would tell my mom that I saw him as I was growing up, but I didn't know that he was deceased. They never said anything. They didn't make me feel strange. Um, I went to my grandmother's house and I looked in the photo album and I saw him in a coffin when I was 10. And
Mm.
I looked and I told my granny, I'm like, hey, that's my uncle to come in the room and talk to me at night. And she explained to me, that he had died when I was a baby. And from then on, I kind of looked at the situation a little different. And I still see him from time to time, even as an adult. Yes.
When you think about the things that you see and the things you hear and smell, when did you know that this was something higher than what you could have ever dreamed of or even thought for yourself?
Oh, Greg. I was trying to, I think that um, I knew early on that I knew things before they happened. And, that was just along with the mediumship.
Mhm.
I was dreaming things and they were happening just as I dreamed them. I was seeing things with my eyes open and they were happening. And one incident that had happened with my stepfather, I dreamed something with him, and um, it happened just like I saw it. And he was scared to death. He said he had never dealt with anybody like that. He was scared of me for a long time. And he just had to grow to get used to it. And I actually wanted it to stop. And
Really?
yeah, I went through a phase at like 14, 15, and 16 where I was trying to get some help. And I was actually trying to take some medication and stuff like that to make the vision stop. I wanted to stop seeing things because I wanted to be like everybody else.
When we think about all of these, people on the certain shows, you see psychics and mediums, and they're, talking to celebrities. And it's like, now this is something that happens here locally, but, you're known as a celebrity psychic because you talk to celebrities as well. We're not going to ask you to reveal because I'm sure NDAs and all that kind of stuff. But when you see shows like that on the national level, what are your first thoughts for yourself? Because, I mean, you have the same gift that they have.
Well, I just look, and I have had some contracts, and I've been signed with some of the companies that some of those people signed with. And I'm gonna just say them. I feel I'm better at it than them. like,
I have to say, the other night I did a mediumship with myself and my cousin with you for this particular broadcast. And before we get into that, so for people that may say, you know, this is of the devil, this is not real, what do you say to folks when they say those types of things?
Well, I put it like this: it would be no different than me being at church. And if I were at church and I were prophesizing, it would be no different than me standing in the pulpit and speaking it to the crowd. It would be no different. And in the Bible, certain people are given the gift by God. The only difference is I haven't chosen to step off in church yet. I haven't took that step. Maybe when I get older, I'm not ready for all that yet. I'm still young. I don't want to, take that kind of commitment yet. But eventually I will.
You know, when you see different celebrity psychics and things on television, even you. So for people watching, what do you see? Because I have seen you do stuff online. You talk about smelling, feeling, hearing. So what is it like? Is it just like seeing, like, if my both of my grandmothers have passed on, do you just see them walking around the house like,
It's nothing like I can't control it. I used to think that had control over it, or at least I would trick myself into thinking that I did. I have absolutely no control over it. So I can be anywhere and I can see things like it's in a grocery store. And I had one encounter in a grocery store where I was grocery shopping with one of my sons, and this gigantic dog ran by. And
mm,
it's just as solid as me and you, looking at each other. It's not transparent. It's like an actual dog running by.
mhm,
And so it'll startle you and catch you off guard because nobody else see it.
that's true.
And so I can be at home in my own house and I can see something.
Wow,
Nobody will see it but me.
wow.
And so
So
as you get older, you learn real fast growing up, like, some stuff you don't say everything that you see. You kind of learn to be quiet sometimes.
You know, I know people, I've had friends try to get me to do a mediumship, and I said, I don't know about the mediumship. A little terrified because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I agreed to do it earlier this week, and it was, I'll just say this, I'll let the viewers see my experience with my cousin Yolanda. And so I'm going to play this first video. I'm going to put it all in order from how this all happened. So her brother passed away in a car accident. It was back in December of 2000. And so he came through in our mediumship. So we're going to play this first clip and then we'll talk.
Now I
Now I
get
get
a man
man
coming
coming
through,
through.
and this man is brown skin, low haircut.
So when I first heard that, I was thinking, I knew it immediately it was her brother Marty, and he passed away, like I said, in December of 2000. So when you were seeing this, what else did you feel or see during that reading?
At that time, well, am I allowed to say? At that time, like his presence was really strong. When he came into the room,
Hmm.
it's like he sucked all the air out of the room. Like you could tell that he had like a very powerful presence. And the first thing I heard was really loud rap music.
Hmm.
I heard loud music. Um, I smell smoke, and I smell smoke. And then I heard a car driving.
Hmm.
I heard a car going real fast, and I heard other cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he passed away in a tragic car accident. And I will say this for the people listening: he was also early in the beginning of his career wanting to be a rapper, singer, back when in his 20s. And so back in my hometown of Sylacauga, he was, as my cousin said, I'm gonna say what she said in the reading. She said he was Sylacauga famous and he was wanting to pursue that career. But the next thing that happened really startled my cousin because she was just caught off guard. So let's take a look at this right here.
Okay. Now I know this is weird. I know this is gonna be extremely weird, but this person comes through and they're saying, "Do you love me?" And I don't know what that is, but they really have my arms and my head feeling extremely strange.
And Earlene, I will say, when I heard that part of the conversation, it shocked me because I was like, I said they were really, really close. And I'm pulling up another video clip here before we really talk about this. But what came next in the conversation from my cousin, it was a conversation that happened with them. So let's play this clip really quickly and then we'll talk.
Now, I do know that one of our last conversations, actually the night that he had the car accident, he was trying to get me to talk to one of my friends so that they can talk. And he kind of said, "Well, if you love me, you would do this for me." And I told him absolutely not.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay.
So, Earlene, when you think about that conversation, and Yolanda and I were both shocked at first when the whole "I love you" thing, because we're like, that doesn't make sense. But you said something that was really important in that conversation, that a lot of times when people come through, they try to say little things that will jog the memory of the person. What is that typically like?
Like a lot of times people are in disbelief, like people need to hear that one thing from their family member to know that it's them.
Hmm.
Because anybody can say that they're talking to your family member. And I'm not gonna say the person name,
Hmm.
but there is a person that's on TV, and as I say, all their mediumships are the same. They're on national television, and they tell everybody this exact same thing. And every person is unique.
Hmm.
If it's authentic, every session is unique, and so no matter who they're talking to, it would be different. If
Hmm.
they came and talked to that same person every day, it's going to be a different conversation because they had every day is a different day.
So true.
And so they will pick from the most significant conversation that you've had with them that they know that you can remember, and they'll pull something from it. And I think the most recent thing that I've had happen in a mediumship was with a young lady, and the young lady came through doing the mediumship, and I think they had went to visit her at the cemetery, and at the cemetery they had asked if she was playing ball with a family member,
Hmm.
and I told her that, and I'm like, I said, she said to tell you that they playing ball, and she's playing ball with this gentleman that she's with, and they're together and they're playing ball. And she said, wow. Because she said that when they go visit her, they ask, are y'all playing ball together? And
Wow.
she said, that's what they asked them at the cemetery.
When at the very end of that little section of that mediumship, I remember um, you said that my cousin's brother, which is my cousin as well, he said to tell Yolanda that I love you. And so I could tell the relief on her because I'm thinking, he passed away a few days before Christmas in 2000. And I could see that she had some sort of relief knowing that I get some sort of, I wouldn't say closure, but in some sense of like, being able to connect. What has it been like for you for people who wanted to connect with the other side and helping them to either get closure or to give them a peace of mind that it's okay and that they're okay?
It makes me feel really good that I can actually help give people some peace, because a lot of times people would grieve themselves to the bitter end quickly. And when people lose certain family members, it really ends their own life quickly. I mean, they
Mhm.
grieve themselves to illness, and illness ends their life quick. if people can get a better understanding that spirit exists and somehow live on after life, and that they actually are there watching over them, if they still somehow have a connection to them, it gives the family member a little bit of peace, and they can go on and keep building their life and living their life healthy. It
You
feels
know,
good.
I think it's so touching for people to be able to get that sense of closure. And I do want to show this other clip here. My grandmother, my dad's mom, she came through as well. And I'm going to show this picture here. And this was my dad's mom at my cousin Yolanda's, I believe this is her high school graduation. But I want to show a clip at the very beginning when you talked about my grandmother coming through. And it just, it shocked both myself and my cousin. So I want to show this clip and then we'll talk in just a second.
Now I see a woman. Now this woman is brown skinned. To be honest, like she may be a little darker than brown skin. And I'm watching her walk like she's walking in from outside. It's like she's coming down, and I can see her walking in front of a fence, and she getting ready to come into it from like she's coming down and coming into a fence from outside.
So, Earlene, when I heard that part of the conversation later on in that clip, Yolanda and I both look at each other like, wow. So, my grandmother at her house in Alabama, there is a white fenced in area of her porch. So, to hear you say that, because this is something you cannot Google, my grandmother's picture of her house is not on Google, not online. How does that really happen? How do you see it for people out there that are wondering, like I was wondering in that moment, what you? I mean, it was exactly my grandmother's porch, and exactly you've never been to Sylacauga.
I, you know what? I cannot explain that part. I don't know how I see it. I try to figure that out myself. Like it's even if I'm conversating with somebody, the person can like I can tell a person, like if a person give me a person name, I instantly it's just like doing mediumship. I connect with people. I'm a medium first.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my strongest ability. So even if I'm just reading people in general, I'm reading their spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I connect to people. So all I have to do is connect with their spirit, and I can see. It's like a mirror, and I start seeing things.
I will say, my grandmother passed away 2 weeks before Christmas in 2015. And so she's been gone almost 6 years. Hard to believe it's been that long. But then, even though I was very close to my grandmother and I talked to her all the time, there was no conversation like a conversation with your grandmama. And she always keep you up to date with what's happening back home. But to know that, a lot of things that have happened in my career over the past 5 or 6 years, I know that she's still with me every day. But then you said this right here, and this really just touched my heart. Take a look.
And she said that she come and she hug all her children and her grandchildren. She said she's still there.
It gave me some sort of peace of mind knowing that. And I will say, I still feel her presence every day. And so, for people out there watching, if they feel things, can we connect with people ourselves, or how does it work? Actually, Earlene, I have you on mute. Let me unmute you here, my friend. So, how does that work?
Yeah, when I tell people, anytime that you are just in a moment and you're having a regular day and that feeling suddenly hits you and you start thinking about a person, they're in your presence right then, whether you can see them or not, you're picking up on them right then. You may not can see them, but you're feeling them around you in that moment. Most people get emotional because they think that they're just missing them, but you're actually in the presence of them right then. Some other
Wow.
people, they may smell them.
Hmm.
Some people just connect by smell and they can smell them in the room with them. Some people dream about them and they come to them in a dream. So it's a lot of different ways that you can encounter your family.
And I'm gonna show this last clip, and then we'll move on to more of you and what you're doing. But when I remember we were talking about my grandmother, we talked about my cousin first, and he came through, and then he left, and then my grandmother came in, and then we were talking about her, and she was saying different things or whatever, that she's still with us and she's still hugging us and still thinking about us and feels like she's still here on earth with us. You said something at the very end that caught both of us off guard, and I'm gonna play this clip and then we'll talk. So let's play this right here.
That, yep.
He just come into this house that she's in, and he just grabbed and hugged her,
Oh, that's great.
and she holding on to him, and um, she hugging him, and they are very emotional. I honestly think that this is probably their first time reuniting with each other.
What really shocked both of us, my Yolanda and my cousin Yolanda and myself, is my cousin Marty passed away in December 2000. My grandmother passed away in December of 2015, and here it is, almost 6 years. And you said it appeared that they were just meeting each other. How does that happen? Because I'm just assuming that when that time comes and I go on the glory, that I'm gonna be like, reunited with everybody immediately. But how does that work in the spirit world?
Sometimes you come in contact with some family members, and sometimes you don't. It really just depends on the person themselves when they pass. Some people have such attachment to a person that they stick around. Like some husband and wives, they typically grieve each other, and it's a quick passing for both of them, because they want to be together. So typically they are together. With him passing away so long before her, he was long gone, and she's not long ago passed. And so he probably has gone on, and she has pretty much remained here in her energy. From what she said, she has remained here, active in her family, taking care of everybody, probably as she did when she was alive.
When you think about other people going through this journey, a lot of people, just like me, and you and I've had this conversation privately, and I said, I don't know about mediumship right now. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. And finally, one of my good friends, he said, you should do it. And so I did it. And I will say this to get some clarity, just about loved ones and people who are gone on, and the things that you say to help jog my memory, but more importantly, just how you give specific details, something that you can't Google, you cannot go search for it. And these are things from my childhood and things that I remember over time. What is it like for you, knowing that, so many people? I was talking to a friend of mine, and I know her mom talked to you before she passed. And she told me that her mom felt guilty about having to put her father into a home. And her father came through in the mediumship reading and said, don't be hard on yourself. It was what you needed to do. And for so long, her mom had thought that she felt so bad about it. But to hear that you gave her some sense of peace, I know that's just such a great calming presence for you to be able to do that for people.
Yeah, a lot of people carry so much guilt when it comes to doing certain things, but you just can't imagine the things that people go through, and the suffering that they go through when a person is passing, and when they're sick, and the decisions that they have to make. They really feel that people are angry at them, and believe it or not, some people actually are angry until they talk to them, and they do have the mediumship, and some of them are funny. They come in initially, they're angry, And then after they talk to them for a minute, it's smoothed over just as they were if they were alive.
You know what I think is funny? You were telling me that sometimes people will come through and they want their money if
Yeah.
they were owed some money. So how does that work?
I have recently during this pandemic, I had a woman pass, and it was the funniest thing. Um, the woman had a card that she had like a food stamp debit card that she got during the pandemic, and they were just giving out all this money and stuff, and she ended up catching COVID and passing, and a family member of hers got a hold to her card, and she spent it almost immediately when she passed. This woman did not want her to have it, and so she had a lot of stuff going on in the house. Things were getting knocked over, stuff was breaking, and she called me, and that woman wanted that card, and she was angry about that card, and that's all she was ranting and raving about was that card. So I had to tell her to take that card to the cemetery and bury it. And when she buried it over there with her, that's what the woman wanted. It stopped.
Wow.
She wanted her card. Yeah.
So is there anything I may have left out tonight that you want to add? A lot of people, I will say this, I hear meditation is good for people, and that's something that I've been doing a lot of lately. When it comes to meditating and having that peace and calmness, what would you say when it comes to that? What should people do if they want to properly meditate?
I meditate 3 times a day, and sometimes I meditate right after seeing a client. Meditation is absolutely wonderful. And what it does is a method of pushing all thoughts, all emotions, and all feeling out of your body. And it's just a period of feeling absolutely nothing, not feeling, thinking, having any emotion. It's emptying your entire spirit out, and it lowers your blood pressure. It regulates your blood sugar even, and it actually drops your pain level too if you're having pain, because pain comes from stress, it comes from overthinking, and it also comes from the trauma of carrying a lot of stuff on your mind and your emotions. So I recommend meditation.
I love it. Any other thoughts you want to say with us tonight?
Well, I just feel that at a time right now where we are still dealing with a lot of people passing, I just want people to know that your family members are still watching over you. I know that we've been taught, all of us have grown up being taught that we have guardian angels watching over us, but it's not as we see the paintings of, the babies, no shirt, the diaper, the wings. It's our family members watching over us. And so just, have the comfort of knowing when your family passes that they are still there watching over you. So get in the habit of talking to them, and when you pray, address them, and when you have those emotions come to you and you feel them around you, speak to them, talk to them, because you're in the presence of them right then.
Wow. And so when you think about everything that you've done in your life thus far, is there anything that stands out? Any moment that you can say publicly?
Oh, it's so many. It's so many. I've done so much. I can't even. I can't even. I can't think of one specific thing. I've done a lot. I'm not even done.
I'm
I'm
sure
not
there's so
even
much.
done. I'm really goal oriented. It's a lot that I want to do. And one of the things that I have been working on doing is using my mediumship. One thing that I want to do is, you see these shows on TV where these people go and they torment, I call it tormenting. But they go to these places and they're filming angry spirits trapped in places and things like that. But I want to go to these places and I want to communicate with these presences, these spirits, and uh, I want to get them to where they need to be. I don't want them to be trapped here. I want them to go where they need to go, and I want them to be at peace.
Wow. For people watching tonight, if they want to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
You can look me up on Facebook. You can find me anywhere on Google, Beauty and Raw Spiritual LLC, and you can book me online for sessions. I do them via FaceTime, Duo, and I am going to be doing in person sessions soon.
I like the COVID thing, duo, FaceTime.
Yes, and I'm also at the Exile on Main Street every Saturday,
Every Saturday. What time?
4 to 7.
4 to 7. Will you be there this Saturday?
I'll be down there this Saturday. They have live music. It's a nice environment. They can come down there and see me in person. But I won't be doing mediumship there. It's just, meet greet, come down, get short readings and enjoy the music.
Sounds good. Earlene, I really appreciate you talking to me tonight. And I will say this right here. Our session earlier this week with my cousin was hilarious. There were some parts that I will not put on TV that that was so funny.
I was hoping that because it seemed at one moment that she was just stuck there in the chair, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I hope I didn't do anything bad." I was worried.
No, no, no. She was, if I asked any family member, she was the one I was going to ask. I have my dear best friend. I told her about this over the weekend, and I said I was not going to ask you because I knew you would say no. She says you know it, but when you in that session, I will say this to wrap up. Was there anything that shocked you? I know my other grandmother came through, but she wasn't having it with the other people in the room,
Mm-mm.
so she wasn't going to speak at that time.
Yeah, as you said, that was her personality. So she did come through with all her daintiness. I actually like your family in spirit. I like your family. Very, very normal. I like them. I think everything about it shocked me. Um, I really liked your cousin's brother. His entrance was very dramatic. It was like something off TV. Um, I was shocked. And then it was, everything was really, really quiet. You know, you know, it was like at the end, you know, like your grandmother came through,
Hmm.
and it was like it was like a movie. Like it was like that was that's her brother, of course,
Hmm.
but then your grandmother comes through, and then it's like it connects you and your cousin at the end because her brother goes in and hugs your grandmother, and it just connects y'all all as a family. It's really nice.
I will say that was a touching moment. And I really appreciate you talking to us. It was fun. My cousin and I, we had a debrief about it yesterday. And so we laughed and we talked about it, especially the entrance for my cousin. He was such a big presence. And I know he would have been a big star if he would have lived a little bit longer and would have been able to get more of his music out there. Such a talented young man and certainly missed by so many people.
Yes, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I'm just glad she was sitting there. She was very quiet at one point, and I was like, "Oh Lord," I was worried.
Oh no, no, she was fine. She was all for it. I do want to say thank you again for talking to me. Earlene McConnell, Beauty of Ross Spiritual here in the Chattanooga area. Look her up on social media. She's on social media, she's on Google, she's everywhere, and she's a celebrity psychic medium. I really appreciate you talking to us as we're leading into this weekend. I cannot believe November is almost here, my friend,
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
coming. We'll talk soon. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you.